Working in the emergency room is not for everyone. Um, Many people find it very exciting. It changes day to day, minute to minute. It could be very slow, and the next minute you don't get to sit down for 6 hours. It's changes, different patients, different diseases, different injuries. So things are constantly changing. One day is not like the next day. Some people find that very exciting. Others find it very frightening because they don't know what's coming in the door, what's going to be happening next. So part of the role and practice in this class is to get you comfortable with knowing what to do, being able to decide what is the number one priority, what do I need to do now, what can wait till later, because you're not going to be able to do everything you need to do all at once. So prioritizing it is a big thing, being able to critically think and decide, can I leave this task till later and get back to it. A big problem in the emergency room can be stress. And sometimes the staff is burdened by a really traumatic event, and uh, it can be very hard for the staff to deal with. So many hospitals will have a staff debrief if something bad does happen, and it certainly can. And they will bring in psychologists and they have group therapy sessions in the event something like that happens. That's going to occur more in a hospital like Harborview than one of the local hospitals, because the local hospitals are not the trauma center where Harborview is, and they can get some pretty awful things coming in the door there. The next thing I'd like to talk about is communication, because communication, as with any job, is vital. However, in the ER, it's imperative that everyone communicates effectively. We're talking a communication between staff members and communication with patients and their family members. We need to understand what the patient wants, what their expectations are. We can't meet expectations that we don't know exist. So we have to be clear. We have to all be sending the same message to the patient and their family. So there are many techniques that we can use to communicate effectively, and your book describes them very well in detail, and you've all probably went over them during the Intro to Healthcare class. But remember, the patients that you're going to have the most difficulty with are patients who do not speak English as their native language, patients who are pediatric patients, so young patients. They don't understand the vocabulary. They don't understand what you're trying to tell them. You say this injection will only hurt for a minute. They don't know what an injection is. So we need to think about the words we use. Same thing with the people that don't speak English. If you tell them, well, I'm going to go get your supper or I'm going to go get your dinner, they may not know what supper or dinner is. But if you say, do you want to eat now? They may know what that is. So using terminology that people understand. It's especially important for the ER tech to communicate to the staff, the other staff members, if they overhear a conversation, like the patient's family member talking to the patient and say, well, I don't know what the doctor said either. I don't know what he meant. I'm not sure what she was telling us we needed to do. Make sure you communicate those things, because somebody can go back in and clarify all that. Remember that body language is huge in communication, so being careful of our body language, how we look at patients, our facial expressions. Are we standing there with our arms crossed like this? Are we rolling our eyes? Are we going, yeah, whatever? Or are we truly concerned and listening to what they're saying? May remember there's two types of listening. There's listening like yeah, and then there's listening where we're not thinking about we got to pick up the kids after school, we got to stop at the grocery store, we got to get gas in the car. Oh my, I have to withdraw money from the bank. So the conversations that we need to be having with our patients have to be straight conversations of listening and not thinking about anything else except what the patient's telling us. Because sometimes they talk to us in a very discreet manner and we can miss all of it. We're not sure what they're trying to tell us, and if we don't explore because we're halfway listening, we miss half the message. So be careful of your body language. Be careful of what your facial expressions are saying to people.